boss lady behind Fiber and Fox, and this is episode 50 finally, of my podcast. Welcome if it's your first time joining. Thank you for joining me here. I hope you like what you find and stick around. You're very welcome. And if you've been along for all or any of it, I appreciate you. You can find anything that you need to know about me linked down below. There's going to be show notes over on my blog referring to anything that I talk about here. Yeah, that works. And links as well to Instagram, my shops, and all the other places you can find me on the internet. I think there's not a whole lot of admin. I usually do admin up front. It's episode 50. There should probably be something commemorative happening, but I'm going to commemorate it by telling you it's episode 50. I'm planning on doing a giveaway when I get to 5K, and we're just floating around 4K now, so we'll do a big giveaway in a little bit. But episode 50, that's a big deal. It's been a year and a half-ish, maybe? 2 years? I don't even know. I probably should have looked that up, but we're coming up on 1 year as Fiber and Fox. I was Bella's Custom Crochets before that, and I started kind of low-key podcasting with no real schedule, and then I had a good schedule, and then I kind of lost that schedule again, but here I am. So yes, thank you for being part of that. This current setup, this might be the last episode that we film here. I'm not sure. We're not moving or anything, but I am moving rooms. We're currently renovating the room adjacent to this one, and it's going to end up being my office / homeschool office, craft room, all that stuff, because right now it looks like it's just yarn in here, but like all around me is my husband's workspace and all of his many stringed things, guitars and the like, and pedals, and this room is all the craft stuff and art stuff, and it is chaos in here, and I do not love it. But we've been redoing that room so we can move my stuff and my daughter's artsy stuff and homeschool stuff and all of that in there. So I'll have a dedicated podcast space, and I'll be able to access all of my yarn and all of my crafty bits during the day, because normally he's working in here, so that's disruptive. But yes, we're like flip-flopping, and then for a little bit we're both going to be in that room while we have this room redone, and then eventually, but it's all painted and pretty. I've been given a couple updates on Instagram, but eventually I'll do like a full tour before and after kind of thing, vlog probably. But yeah, it's not quite done yet, but it's getting there. We got to redo the floors and then move all the stuff in and then redo this. It's a whole process, and we're trying to figure out how to flip-flop it around that's best for his work schedule and being able to use his stuff, and just budget and all that. So I'm very excited to have a designated office space for Fiber and Fox, and also just for all of my Maker Mama endeavors. So that will be coming soon. You might see this blue wall again. I don't know. But the other room I'm really excited to have bright and white and not this color, because I didn't pick this. We moved into this, but very grateful for the space regardless. So stay tuned. There's going to be updates coming soon. I think that's it for admin, and that wasn't even really admin anyway. What I am wearing, truth be told, I put this on for the podcast. I usually try and model something that either I designed or handmade. But yeah, I was wearing a hoodie and leggings all day. I am currently still wearing leggings and Birkenstocks when I put on a nice sweater. I put on my sweater inside out. This is not the first time I've done this on this podcast. It's pretty reversible other than the floats on the sleeve. Yeah, the shoulder seams even look good in reverse. It's literally just the seams, or where I carried the alternating the yarn. Hi there. Yes, this is my Anik pullover. It's the one that has the puff stitch detail down the front. It's reversible. I'm wearing it. Can't really tell. I'm wearing it. I put a shawl on because I'm wearing it with a shirt that totally doesn't fit with the neckline, but it is reversible. It has what is this? Boat neck? Straight neck? A neck that goes straight across, and then also a V-neck, which you can wear front or back, or you can change the pattern up and do two V-necks, two straight necks, however you like it. But it's lovely. It's got the details going down the sleeve as well. Oh, see, it looks great inside out either way. And this is my Forgotten Lore shawl, which also has puff stitch details. And the Forgotten Lore shawl was the precursor to this sweater. I was actually trying to design this sweater in this purple yarn and then realized I had done some purchasing math wrong and like thought it was fingering weight, but it was actually lace weight. But I was like, it's so pretty, I still want to do something with it. So I designed this shawl and then designed the sweater after that. And this one, yeah, it's big and boxy. It's a little less boxy on me now. Yeah, you can see the side seams too, but they don't even look bad. They look like an accent. It's okay. It's fine. I didn't leave the house. But yeah, extra small to 4X, and it's got a nice big boxy shape, lots of room, and it still fits me halfway through pregnancy, so that's fun. And that is what I am wearing today. Finished object-wise, I don't have them physically here to show you. Well, I guess I could get my daughter's outfit, but the pictures will do it better justice. So I did finish up the Easter dress situation, or Easter outfit, I guess it was, because it's a top and a skirt. I had shown it a couple episodes back. Finished it up, sewed in all the ends, and my daughter did wear it for Easter. It was a lot colder than we had expected because it was like a halter tank top and skirt combo in a, I think we settled on it being a bamboo derivative yarn, Trubu by Lion Brand. And yeah, sometimes I was thinking like, Easter was mid-April. That's kind of about as late as Easter can be. And sometimes it's like 70 and sometimes it's like 36. So it was in the like low 40s on Easter. So she ended up wearing it with leggings underneath and a long sleeve shirt, which wasn't really my intended look, but it worked out fine. And she had such a great time just twirling in the little flowery skirt. So I'll put in some twirl pictures so you can see that. And yeah, it came out really well. There was no pattern. I needed a refresher project. I had gone from, I think I already mentioned, but pregnant. January and February, I had like no drive to even pick up or touch yarn. I didn't have drive for much at that point, was not feeling well. But at this point, we're doing real good, although I seem to have now acquired heartburn, which is not something I had in my first pregnancy, so we'll see how that goes, deal with that. But other than that, I'm feeling great and energetic and normal and sleeping well and all that, so very grateful. I know it's probably going to be a really long summer, but very excited. So where was I going with that? Yes, the Easter dress project. Pregnancy brain. The Easter dress project, I just needed something that wasn't following a pattern. It wasn't designing. I didn't even really have to count. Like I started out with a certain stitch count and then kind of just figured out my pattern and just went with it. And if I had too many stitches somewhere, whatever, it's fine. It's for my 3-year-old. So yeah, it was just a really palette cleanser type of project. I just needed something really creative without any real math or thinking or following or reading or anything. And it was just perfect to get me back on that creative crochet mindset. So there's not going to be a pattern for that or anything, but it came out super cute for her. So pictures, pictures, pictures. And then also, I don't think I'm going to bother putting in pictures because it's pretty uneventful, but I did make a set of washcloths, which isn't something I do a lot. I know that is a very common crochet. It's a great gift item. So I did want to mention it if you're interested. I used a pattern by Meg Made with Love. If anybody knows what happened to Megan of Meg Made with Love, I'm assuming she just decided to mom it up and live her life I cannot speak today, outside of the internet, but she was someone I really enjoyed as a designer and as a, not influencer, but Instagram person, human. I really enjoyed interacting with her, but it seems that all of her accounts are inactive, and I mean, I probably could email at her design email, but I feel like if you disappeared off the internet, you probably have good reason. But yeah, she's been gone for a couple years and I miss her. But I've made a pattern from her blog that I had made a long time ago. And I used to sell at events before I really honed in on my own patterns and designs that I was going to be selling. I had a couple sets of washcloths and my now pastor's wife had bought some like 4 or so years ago. And she was like, hey, before you have the baby, do you think you could make me some more washcloths or dishcloths? Because I still use those and they're my absolute favorite. So I was like, absolutely, I can. I don't do a lot of custom orders anymore. It's something I used to do a lot. But yeah, you have to be pretty nice and pretty close to me to get a custom order out of me at this point. So I did make, I think it was it's like the rustic farmhouse washcloth or something. I will link it in the show notes, but it's a really great mini bean stitch, which is a stitch that I use in one of my cowl patterns, and I really love it for crochet. It creates a beautiful texture, and apparently it holds up really well as a dishcloth washcloth. So just a Mother's Day suggestion, or also just a great quick gift everybody needs. Washcloth and dishcloths. So I finished some of those, and that's all I have for or finished objects to show you. What am I doing with my fingers? I feel like I need to slow down. I'm sorry guys if I do tend to talk fast. It's just kind of how I am, and when I have a lot of thoughts or like a checklist in my head of like I need to get down this list of show notes, my brain wants to skip ahead to the next thing. So I'll try to slow down and talk to you. I watched the last episode back, and it was very excited, definitely high energy, but I know I speak fast. So I will try maybe to slow down a little bit. So what we have for whips. I have one in a basket that my grandmother-in-law, my husband's grandmother, made. She used to do basket making, and I've acquired a whole bunch of her baskets because she knows that I appreciate handmade and wants them to go to a good home. So I did get started on the Fiber for the People, which I'm not even sure I have the ball bands to show you this time. I am sure they are somewhere. Do I have you? No, because that would require planning on my part as a podcaster. Well, they're all Lucky Strike colorways, so you can't get them anyway, but they're by Fiber for the People yarns. And I have been talking about using them for a real long time. They've been back on that shelf, and I've been like, there's a shawl coming for like 2 years. So I finally sat down, and it was one that like I had the whole thing more or less planned out. I just had to actually sit and do the math. And I feel like getting started, that first like edge or corner or tab or whatever shape of a shawl you're doing, starting the shaping of the shawl takes so much oomph, at least for me, because I end up having to sit down and just really get the math worked out. And I've done it before where like my math wasn't really solid, and then I designed a shawl, and then it like goes into testing, and they're like, yeah, but actually this doesn't work. So I do try to make sure I have a very solid foundation on the increases or decreases or however the shaping is going. And I usually have like a spreadsheet and all of that, so I know row by row exactly what needs to be there. So I sat down and I finally mathed out the shawl. This is going to be another dandelion stitch shawl. I have not decided on a name. You guys suggested some great ones, but it's going to be something dandelion alliterated. Using the dandelion stitch, which is my variation of daisy or star stitch. So it's going to be I don't know what this shape shawl is actually called. I call it like an end-to-end, where you start at one little point and then increase and then decrease down to another little point. So it is a triangle shawl. It's not asymmetrical, it's symmetrical. So there's a flat edge along the top, and then an increasing edge along the bottom, which will then turn into a decreasing edge. But this is all Fiber for the People yarn. This main color is Lily Pad, but they were all one-of-a-kind Lucky Strike colorways, so you're not going to be able to find them again. This one is called Pewter, I believe, and this mohair that I'm going to be incorporating into the second half is called Algae. Really excited / terrified to start working with the mohair because I know it tends to not be forgiving, and especially with something like if I try and do dandelion stitch in it, it's probably not going to frog back. So I need to like know where I'm going with this. So I'm not 100% sold on that this is the final, like I tend to do this where I math it all out and it like works on a, oops, that's the back side. There we go. Works on a mathematical level, but I'm not sure that I want it on a design level. So my thought is that the first half of the shawl is going to be dandelion stitch in the screen. But I'm thinking maybe I should have done some color blocking and maybe incorporated some of the gray somewhere, because the other half is going to be the gray and the mohair striped. And let me know too in the comments if you enjoy this design processy stuff. I know a lot of designers, it seems like it's usually very large designers, very popular designers I should say, kind of keep the designs close to the chest until they're ready to be released. Like they might do a sneak preview like the week before. but it takes a lot of time to design something, and I like sharing that content with you, and I'm optimistic that y'all aren't jerks and are going to steal my designs and get them out before I do, which is absolutely, I know, a possibility if I put it out there, but I do enjoy sharing the process, and for me, the drive for designing is like this being created to create. It's something that I very much believe in and believe that I was made for. So I lose part of that process. I mean, I don't, but I love sharing it with you. The whole how I get from a skein of yarn to the final product is really part of, I mean, obviously the creative process. I'm assuming y'all enjoy the design ramblings, but I would love to know feedback. If you'd rather just see the design right before it comes out and have me do my mathematical ramblings and frogging sessions on my own time. But also, it takes a long time to design, particularly like a garment or like fingering weight shawls or whatever. And I don't want to go months without having content to show you, or just like have knit socks to show you, because I already have plenty of that. So let me know if you want to hear about the crochet designs. But the plan is this half, really loving this green. Wish I could get more of this. It's beautifully tonal. And I guess I should have explained Lucky Strikes. I did say were her one-of-a-kind colorways, but she makes them out of like remnant dye left on like her spoons or table that she like sweeps up and uses up all the dye, so none of it goes to waste, which I love. So the colors are generally non-repeatable unless she really loves it and then goes out of her way to figure out the color science of how she got there. Color, is that color theory? Maybe. I don't know. Someone who knows things about color, tell me. But yeah, these are just all beautiful one-of-a-kinds, and I'm so excited to use them together. So the plan is to then stripe in some sort of a sequence, and I haven't decided, which is why I haven't started that second half, because I'm nervous about frogging the mohair. I haven't decided if I want to just have like even stripes, like 2 rows or something, 2 rows, 4 rows, however I end up doing it, of the 2 colors, because I know I'm going to have plenty. Or if I want to kind of make it a more varied thing, like if you're familiar with my Serenity and Shiloh shawl, it's the same shape as this, but it's all just like random stripe sequences, which I really love. I love striping in general, but I have the other remnant of yarn stuck in here like a little nest, so you're confused as to why that's coming out of there. Yeah, so I'm going to stripe the other 2 going the other way. And I'm trying to decide if I'm really happy with that first half or if I want to go back and add gray somewhere to kind of tie it in better. But I think the color block with the stripe is going to be really bold and beautiful, especially because it's going to be wrapped around. So the other end is going to be hanging. Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm very excited about it. I'm just kind of scared of mohair because I haven't really worked with it before. It's just so fluffy. And I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things that I said that I didn't like. But as far as things that I've said that I don't like, I've said I don't like socks and sandals, and now I almost exclusively wear socks in sandals, at least in weather that's warm enough. I went most of my life really, really hating that look, and now I'm all about the knit socks and the Birkenstocks. And I said I wouldn't wear high-waisted pants, and prior to pregnancy, decided those were fantastic. Didn't like crop tops, but again, with the high-waisted pants, started knitting and crocheting all the cropped things. And yeah, so I have a feeling like mohair is going to be that thing that I was like, no, I don't like mohair. And then decide that, in fact, I did like mohair. But anyway, we're getting somewhere on the shawl. Whoa, we're halfway there. Which is fitting, because 50 episodes is halfway to 100 episodes, which I don't really know if that's a like marker that we're trying to achieve, but seems like a good halfway number. And I'm also halfway through this pregnancy this week, give or take, you know, because babies show up when they want to show up. But on the calendar, that's how it works. Other thoughts of this yarn, just jumping right back into that. I had thought, looking at the skein, I had seen that there were some little pops of maybe green in there, but I did not pick up on those blues. So it seems like there's going to be an odd blue speckle here and there. This is one of the swatches. See the blue? I did not expect. And there's also some like purple bits, purple hues. And actually there's a yellow speck there. I didn't think there was going to be specks. I thought it was going to be gray with like a green overtone. So I'm sure it'll work in the shawl overall. But the pops of blue were kind of not what I was expecting with the way the green tonal was. So hopefully it works. I mean, it's going to be in stripes, but it's going to be wrapped up as a shawl. I really like the gray. I just wasn't expecting it to have little pops of color in there, which is kind of fun. But it's not like quite a speckled yarn. It's just like little bits of dye that snuck in. So curious to see how that works out. I do want to stick with this yarn combination. I do have some other grays I could use actually left over from this. But yeah. So stay tuned. And if you hate design content, let me know down below and I will take that in consideration, but I do like to share it with you. So that is where I'm at on my yet to be named dandelion end-to-end, point-to-point triangle shawl design situation. Other whips, let's see, hang on, let me put this basket down, I'm running out of room. Other whips, I am making another, I had shown, I think last episode, made the first little garment for my son, who is coming in the almost fall. So I showed this one last time. This is the caress cardigan. And this one was in the, what is that? That's thread. In the, I think 6 to 12 months or 6 to 9 months, and I didn't really gauge swatch. So it is on the larger size. But I wanted to use up the yarn that I had. So I made a larger one, and then I got more yarn to make a smaller one. Oh, hey, I found the fiber for the people tags. Here they are, fiber for the people, y'all. And look, I even tied the bits on there like I know what I'm doing and then lost them in this bag. Gracious. Okay, I'm going to put those in there because that's really where they should be. But caress cardigan, I'm making another one. I had fully intended to cast off the sleeve before I podcasted, but that just didn't happen today. So this one's itty bitty. This front edge is all curling up because it doesn't have the ribbing on it yet. But I'm making another one. And this one is the 0 to 3 month size, I believe. So my hope is that we'll be able to use it for Christmas photos or Christmas time or something. But again, it really depends on how big that baby decided he's gonna be. Because babies are kind of mysterious like that. They don't care about your sizing or your hand knits. I will say that I feel like that, maybe not, maybe holding it up. I feel like the sleeve is disproportionately wider. I mean, the body's going to get wider because there will be a button band just like the other one. But I feel like the sleeve is really wide. No? Maybe? It's like half of my hand. Which, I mean, maybe he's going to have little muscular arms. Either way, it'll be great for layering. And the gauge on this one is definitely denser than this one that I did with the Lion Brand jeans, which is a worsted but closer to a DK, and this is a worsted. But again, it's all good. I'm assuming it will all fit at some point, and it's all fine. So I really do like this pattern. This is my 3rd or 4th time making it for various babies. So we need another sleeve, we need some ribbing, and then I think I'm going to do the shawl collar again. It does include a V-neck option as well. But the yarn I'm using is Lion Brand Basic Stitch. I mentioned last time, I think that acrylic is a great option. If you are new momming it and want to be able to throw stuff in the wash. It's also great if you're gifting knits or crocheted items for people who may not know how to care for a wool content or a natural fiber content. It holds up well to puke and poop and, you know, the things that come with babies. So the colors I'm using are olive. You gonna show the people? Yarn for the people, fiber for the people, olive for the people. Olive and almond something or another. Almond tweed for the ribbing. And I got 2 skeins, but I think I'm gonna actually be able to get away with, I have this much left and I just need to do, basically cast off and do one more sleeve. So I think I'm gonna get away with one. It's gonna be really annoying if I have to break into this one to do, you know, like 4 rows on a sleeve. But yeah, 100% acrylic, available at Joann. Anti-pilling, plasticky acrylic, but it's very soft. I will say Hobby Lobby generally has my favorite picks for acrylic and acrylic blend yarns, but happened to be at Joann's on the day that we got this for other crafty purposes, and I do like it. It's nice. This gauge is definitely a little denser. The sleeve feels a little less pliable than I would have liked, so maybe I should have gone up a needle size, but I think either way it'll get used. I was going to say usage, but I just said used. It'll be used. And I have buttons for it somewhere that I got as well in the back. This office is just such chaos right now. I generally like things very well organized and labeled and in a place, and it's all just kind of everywhere. But yes, I'm really excited to get it sorted out into the other room very soon. So that is my second baby item, and then I do have a pair of socks to share as well. So these are nearly half finished, not quite, but I finished one. Actually, yeah, no, half finished would be one sock. Beyond half finished. I'm halfway through the second sock, so whatever that is. These are, again, a no pattern. I've been doing a lot of no pattern self-striping socks because, again, my brain just doesn't really want to follow complicated patterns right now. This is Patton's Croy in, do I have the tag? Yes, I do, because I'm a podcaster. Patton's Croy socks. Favorite budget sock yarn. In the colorway Mid-Century Stripe, which I feel like has a really fun, mid-century is what we're going for, but it has like a vintage circus vibe that I really like. And I like that the stripes are even spaced and not random, because a lot of the self-striping ones, you go to stripe it and then it's like thick stripe, little stripe, random stripe that doesn't fit with the other stripes, and then stripe. And like, this one's just nice. And as far as Patton's Croy, this one, and I know Blue Stripe Rag is also a really nice even stripe. So really like this. What I'm doing is just a vanilla sock, but then I am doing a purl bump every time it changes from one color back into the orange. So yeah, just doing a purl row there. I did the first row in Cascade Heritage in the color charcoal or something. The heel is Patton's Croy Gray Marl, and then the toe I held the Heritage Cascade and this, which doesn't have any nylon content, but I think with the Cascade with the silk in it, it'll be fine. Held it double to make the toe a little thicker. This is a mill end from Green Mountain Spinnery. So yeah, just trying to use up, I had a couple skeins of this color in Patton's Croy, the Mid-Century. So I'm gonna do one pair and then maybe a pair of leg warmers or another smaller pair or something. Leg warmers for my daughter. I'm not that fun yet. I do wear fun socks with sandals, but I'm not wearing stripy orange leg warmers just yet. Time will tell. But yeah, they're kind of fun. I think it's kind of annoying that it has this like peach and orange stripe in there because it kind of blends in. But overall, very happy. Good fit. Really feeling the self-striping recently. I think possibly all the pairs of socks I have knit this year, which again, it's just that motivation factor. The self-striping really does it. But I do have some pattern socks I want to try out soon, but self-striping, it's the way to go. Which brings me to, I guess, the acquirings, which is not something I acquired, it's something I created. In the theme of self-striping yarn, I attempted to dye some. And by attempted, I mean I did like minimal to no research, no math, and just kind of was winging it, again, for the sake of creativity. I've dyed yarn here and there before. It's not something that I do. I'm not a yarn dyer. I do really enjoy playing around with natural dyeing, stuff from the garden, the yard, but I didn't really have a ton of yarn on hand. This is a skein of Patton's Croy muslin. It's like the white cream colored one, so it was the only undyed that I had at the ready. I do want to order some and do some natural dyeing this summer because I think that's fascinating, just for selfish purposes. But yeah, we had some leftover dye from Easter egging, that's probably two different things. But we had dyed eggs, and it was all in glass jars, and we just used, hot water, vinegar, and Wilton food dye, or you can use food coloring, whatever you got. But we had some on hand, and I felt bad dumping dye down the drain, so I'm always like, let my daughter dump some stuff on a skein of yarn. Like we've done it before. It's come up with varying. This was when we were dyeing some beads, wood beads. Again, just let her dump it. She dyed like blue variegated skein that I made her a shawl out of for her birthday. And then we figured we'd give this a shot. This was more really like I let her help, but this was more my thing because I was attempting to do self-striping. So I'll put in a picture of how we did it. And again, if you want to dye actual self-striping yarn, go do some math and some research. I feel like ChemKnits maybe has some tutorials. ChemKnits is a great channel on YouTube if you want to mess around with dyeing with stuff you have on hand, and not get too into the non-child friendly type stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be with kids, but like acid dyes, you need like a respirator and designated tools and all sorts of stuff. But food dye, it's fine. Just like maybe don't spill it on like your white tile or anything, but it's fine. So what I did is I took all the little jars that we had already dyed the eggs in, and I arranged them in a circle, put them on top of a cookie sheet because I didn't know what was going to happen as far as children and cats. Didn't want it dumped everywhere. Put them in a circle, and then I had, what is a pre-hank? Is it a hank? I wound the yarn into a loop, which would then be twisted into a hank. So I guess it's a hank of yarn. But I wound it all up on my Swift, and then tied it off and whatever so I could dye it. So it was open in a loop. And in my vaguest of slight understanding, self-striping can be done by separating that loop of a hank into sections in dye pots. There's other ways to do it for sure, and better ways. So what I just did is I dunked like a little section into each little jar. So it was hanging over the jars, and I pushed it down with a spoon, and I definitely didn't do even sections. I thought I had laid it out kind of evenly, but the stripes are definitely going to come out not even, because again, no math was used in the making of this yarn, which I should show you in the hank before I take it off. But yeah, so we just used, it's probably going to fade because it's food dye. Food dye does that. But we used what colors we had, and I arranged it in like a rainbow, because you know how we do. And this is just a 50-gram skein. 100-gram skein would have been 100-gram skein would have been more fun, but again, this is what I had on hand while I had all that dye sitting on my counter. And this is not usually my rainbow color scheme. Like, I love rainbow, but I'm all about the jewel tones, and this is a little more like Lisa Frank situation. But yeah, so you can see when I open it up, it took me so much effort to twist that into a reasonable hank. That we have this loop, and that, so yeah, I dunked this part into the pinkish reddish and then orange. This one, I ended up with a lot of weight in between. I was hoping that it was going to soak up between the two jars. Like, this is what was resting on the top lip of the jars. I was hoping it was going to soak up. If it really bothers me, although once I cake it, I'm not going to do anything about it. Because this is probably going to create, what, like 4 or 5 stitches in white, which is going to be kind of annoying, but it might be a fun. I'm hoping it does some cool, like, fun constellation looking situation and not like all color pooled in a blob. But we'll find out. But the rest of them blended, like, it has a little bit of white in between there. And this one kind of faded into the others well. This one, there's not really any white, a little tiny bit. That one blended pretty well. I was trying to go for smooth color transitions between the colors, but again, they was just sitting on the counter in jars doing its thing. So how did I go about it? I was gonna make a reel, so I filmed things. I wound this up into this format, tied it off so it didn't get tangled. I pre-soaked it in some water and vinegar to kind of mordant it, if you will. There was already vinegar in with the dye anyway. And again, this is not, I do not know what I'm talking about, but this has worked for me in the past. So I pre-soaked it in water and vinegar for a while. I think you're supposed to do it for at least like a half hour or something, but I had it in there for like the morning, and then we did it in the afternoon. And then normally you need to set, I believe, color, you need some sort of heat element. So some people do it in an oven, some people do it on a warm stove with the dye, some people do it, you can set it like in the microwave as you go, but I couldn't quite figure out how to make that work with the jars. So what I ended up doing was heating each individual glass jar in the microwave. So I heated up the dye that was in there, and it wasn't like boiling hot or anything. It was like, I don't know, warm. I forget how long I did it in the microwave, but under a minute probably. And warm in the jars. So when I dunked the yarn in that was already pre-soaked, so the yarn was wet going into the warm dye, then I just let it sit on the counter until the dye had completely cooled and or exhausted the color. the red, orange, yellow, green. Soaked up pretty much all the colors. Red, orange, yellow. Soaked up all the color. Exhausted is when you go from, again, some dyer is going to be like, she don't know what she's talking about. I admit that. I don't. But it basically sucks up all the color and leaves you with basically clear water. But I believe that anything that has a blue base to it, so like purples and greens and blues, obviously, take longer to exhaust based on something to do with pH or something or another. Science, chemistry. So the blue and the purple and whatnot didn't exhaust all the way, which is often when you buy hand dye yarn, when you wash it, why it bleeds that color, because those didn't fully exhaust out. So there's just like excess dye hanging out in that skein. But I did then rinse it once it was cooled, rinsed it, a little bit of wool wash, and then hung it up to dry. And I usually just hang it on my shower head because I don't really have like a hanger, so it's got like a lump in it, but that's okay. And yeah, then I'm going to cake it up. I wanted to show it to you in this format so you could see how it worked. I'm not going to try to hang this back up here. Yes, I am. I'm really bad at this. Ooh, it looks so fun that way. So fun. This is the part that I'm not great at. I've seen other people do this so much more beautifully. Yep, no, this is happening later. You sit down there. But yeah, hanged it all up, and once I cake it, I'm gonna knit a pair of socks, and I'll probably need to do a contrast heel, toe, and cuff because I only have 50 grams. But I'm interested to see how the self-striping plays out. It's probably gonna be like a random micro stripe type thing. It's not gonna come out like the pattern square with big thick stripes in an even manner. But I think it'll just be really fun because we made it. And I know it's going to fade because it's just food dye and it's not acid and blah, 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 blah. That's okay. It was fun. We enjoyed it, and it was non-dangerous for a toddler and a pregnant lady. So really, sorry, the window's open. Car went by. It was really fun. So that is, I think, all of the content that I have to share with you this week in episode 50. I am looking forward to talking to you again soon with finished cardigan. Hopefully that shawl is going to be in a more final-ish state. And yeah, just keep sharing what I'm making for the baby and myself and my socks and all of that. Thank you for being along for all of this. I really appreciate anybody who's been here for all 50 episodes and any other content I've put out. Just, it's amazing that I get to sit down in my funny little blue room and chat with you about yarn and stuff. So I will see you again soon. My camera's threatening to overheat. I'm going to cut it off here. Thanks very much, guys. See you in the next episode.